is this?
The first time we see a monster in Silent Hill 2, it's preceded by a bloodstain. Later, a human-like figure appears, as if manifested from the fog itself. This encounter is really special to me because it links the fog to the monsters of Silent Hill. They exist in this eerie space of James's own memories, his foggy recollections of violence and trauma. This is why that bloodstain being the first thing James sees is so important. The monsters are not just typical enemies as they would be in other horror games. Here, violence directly links to the psychological. Silent Hill monsters are suffering, and their suffering makes them scarier. So let's get into how this happens. With the first monster, James had to actively hunt it down. It literally moves away, showing no self-awareness at all. This adds suspense, but by off-putting this encounter, the player is also able to experience James's own sinking mind, as he's drawn further into Silent Hill. It's like a person slipping into a dream, chasing some forgotten memory. James comes across a radio when the monster finally attacks. The radio signal seems to be his way of connecting with this world, which is why the first monster finally reacts. As it steps forward, we see how gruesome its body is. Bloodied skin wraps around its form, like it's living in its very own straitjacket, trapped by its own flesh. It has no mouth and yet makes sounds, and it attacks James by throwing up on him. Everything about this twisted form embodies human suffering. To James, he only sees a monster. At the beginning of his journey, he doesn't know what to make of these creatures. It's only as he faces his past that he begins to understand what these creatures mean. Once outside, Mary's voice comes through the radio. It's fragmented and distorted, a weak signal James is beginning to tune into, which grows stronger whenever enemies are nearby. And given what happened to Mary by James's hands, the fact he connects with her after violently killing a sick, monstrous creature, well, it speaks for itself. Violence connects James to Mary and thus Silent Hill. Mary is Silent Hill for James. She's the reason he's here. These monsters are all manifestations of his trauma and how it relates to her. Which brings us to the town itself. The monsters themselves are not the only manifestations of horror. The locations throughout the game delve deeper into the psychological. The game is a continuous descent, right from the start as we head down into the forest and then Silent Hill. We start in the iconic fog of brightly lit streets, and as the game progresses, we go beneath this to Toluca Prison, the Labyrinth, and finally back to Lakeview Hotel. While early sections of the game have the split of normal world and the other world, the locations themselves do more to show James's descent. Reality breaking down between the normal and other world is simply a constant reminder of the conflict within James, but it's the locations which really connect James to his past. This journey down into darkness eventually leads him back to the hotel, and that's because Lake Hotel represents his deepest truth, where he shared both happy memories and the darkest memories. This place is both light and dark, intimate in the best ways and the worst ways. So the other world opening up here really showcases this conflict. When James returns to Lake Hotel near the end of the game, it feels almost peaceful. We get the sense that this place is untouched by the horrors of what's happened in the game so far. And so when the other world opens up here, it really showcases this conflict. How James wants this place to be untouched by darkness, but ultimately it's already been corrupted because of what he did. When we first encounter a monster in this peaceful place, it's jarring, a reminder that the nightmare isn't over. And so the use of setting here invokes so much atmosphere and meaning. The locations in Silent Hill become places that torture James's mind, reminding him of his own monstrous violence. But there is a character who's more of a monster than James, and that character is Eddie Dombrowski. Eddie isn't a monster created by Silent Hill, but he's the only human enemy we face in the game. He's a pretty strange guy. We first meet him when he's hiding in a bathroom being sick. But as the game progresses, we see him shift from this weak character to someone who's pretty violent. While James is suppressing his emotions, Eddie openly acts on them. And so in this way, he's similar to monsters like Pyramid Head as an honest figure of James's inner violence. James doesn't want to confront that side of himself, but if Pyramid Head was too abstract, along comes Eddie as the human mirror of repressed violence. Eddie is the human monster which James fears he's already become.
Don't get all holy on me, James. This town called you too.
Eddie sees what makes them similar. He has this really interesting switch from telling James he's like the ones who bullied Eddie, only to then recognise himself in James after he punches him. Eddie understands James through violence, and that seems to be why he invites James into a fight. The fight for Eddie is proving that he and James are the same. The contradiction shows how Eddie represents two sides. He's both victim and perpetrator. He relates to James, but he also accuses James of laughing at him. And that's because Eddie is both a darker version of James and also a reflection of Mary. He talks about disgust and others looking down on him. And when he accuses James of looking at him that way, he's probably right, because Mary's disease disgusted James. And so Eddie just becomes another monster in that sense. After James kills Eddie, he looks at his hands, facing the fact that he killed another person. Internally, he is slowly facing the truth of what he did, because Eddie was right about what they shared in common. And this brings us to Maria. Maria is the embodiment of a monster in human skin. What makes her extra insidious is how there is nothing strange in how she looks. At first, she seems like just another person stuck in Silent Hill, because the game already introduced us to other people like Angela and the little girl. On top of this, she looks nothing like a monster. All other monsters look like a deformed mess, but the fact Maria hides beneath human skin for so long really emphasizes the psychological. In the same way the environment can change from normal to monstrous, Maria reveals that even monsters of Silent Hill can be deceiving. On the outside, Maria suffers as James denies her. A great scene early on is in the Heavenly Bar, where she offers James a drink. He refuses, not just from a lack of trust, but also refusing his deeper desires, alcohol being something you indulge in, to let down your guard, which Maria clearly wants James to do. It's a refusal to give in to her, but also a way of denying his own truth. But even while refusing Maria, this does not stop James from growing attached to her. Later on, she dies in 2 different scenes, forcing James to relive his loss of Mary. Maria goes from someone James should want to protect to being strung up and killed by Pyramid Head, who reflects James. She is, without question, the monster most related to James's suffering, really completing the portrayal of suffering monsters in Silent Hill and what they mean. Suffering is just as much a part of the horror as the portrayal of monsters themselves. This makes Silent Hill 2 really stand out compared to other horror games, and I imagine the original really set the bar for psychological horror in video games. That's all I have to say for now. I do have another idea for a video on Angela, so if you'd like to see that, please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any ideas for anything else relating to Silent Hill 2 that you'd like me to discuss, let me know. Thanks for watching.